All right, let's take a minute to look at some seventh chords. We'll look at major 7, minor 7, dominant 7, and minor 7 flat 5 when the root note's on the 6th string, the 5th string, and also the 4th string. All right, so let's do it each quality at a time, okay? So we'll do a major 7 with each of its root notes on the various strings, and then we'll switch to the other chords. I think we should do the first one in G, because why not? All right, so G major 7. When our root note is on the low E string, we got to find G first. E, F, F sharp, G. All right, now this shape is our major 7 shape. You may or may not be familiar with it. I think you are. First finger, 3rd fret, low E. 3rd finger, 4th fret, D. 4th finger, 4th fret, G. And 2nd finger, 2nd fret, B string. It's key here that we mute the A string and don't play the high E string. Only the notes involved are the fingers we're actually pressing down on the frets. Okay, so we have G, F sharp, B, and then D. That's a G major 7 chord. All right, now let's find it on the A strings. First we got to find A. We know the 12th fret is, or we have to find G. We know the 12th fret is A. So let's backtrack a bit. A flat, G. Okay? Now the shape for a major 7 when your root note is on the 5th string looks like this. You can also bar it. All right, so we have the 1st finger on the 10th fret A string, 3rd finger on the 12th fret D string, 2nd finger on the 11th fret G, and 4th finger on the 12th fret B string. And then of course, if you're barring it, you'll also have the 10th fret on the high E string. That's just doubling the 5th. So in this chord we have G, D, F sharp, B, and then D again if you bar it. G major 7. Compare this one with our G major 7 on the low 6th string. Nice. Now let's move on to the 4th string. All right, so first we got to find G, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G. Now a G major 7 when your root note is on the 4th string, the D string, looks like this. So my 1st finger is hitting the root note, G, which is on the 5th fret here, and then my 3rd finger is barring the 7th fret on the G, B, and high E strings. So I have 1st finger on G, 3rd finger's playing a D, F sharp, and then a B. Let's compare those with the other ones we learned. So G major 7 from the 6th, G major 7 from the 5th, G major 7 from the 4th. Great, now let's look at our minor 7 chord. All right, let's do our minor 7s from B flat, because why not? All right, so B flat, we're gonna bar the 6th fret on the low E string, all the way across, try to get it as parallel to the fret as possible, and then throw your 3rd finger down on the 8th fret A string. So that's B flat minor 7. Another way you can play that is by putting your 2nd finger on the 6th fret low E and barring the 6th fret on the D, G, and B string with your 3rd finger. I'll play this this finger pattern when I am finger picking in my right hand, and I do more of like a bass chord comp. Otherwise, you get more of that Jack Johnson-y strummy feel when you bar it. All right, so that's B flat minor 7. Now let's find B flat on the A string. So we have A sharp or B flat. So here we go. Now for a minor 7 shape, we're going to bar across with the, in this case, the first fret. So first finger, first fret, A string, barring across. Then my third finger is on the 3rd fret, D string. That bar takes care of my first fret on the G, and my second finger comes down on the 2nd fret B string, and then barring across once again to the 1st fret on the high E. So starting from the A string, we have 1, 3, 1, 2, 1. B flat minor 7. I like hammering it on, it sounds good. Doobie Brothers made a famous song out of the minor 7 chord, this exact shape. I think they're playing it up on G, and they hammer on the other notes here, so it goes. You can kind of do that from any fret though. So that's B flat minor 7, when your root note is on the 5th string. All right, now let's find B flat on the D string and play the minor 7 shape. So we have, we'll backtrack D here. D, D flat, C, B, B flat. So it's on the 8th fret on the 4th string. So 8th fret on the D string. Now this one's kind of tricky. I put my first finger on the 8th fret D string, my 4th finger on the 10th fret G string, my 2nd finger on the 9th fret B string, and my 3rd finger on the 9th fret high E string. Once again, this is B flat minor 7 with your root note on the 4th string. All right, so let's review our 3 B flat minor 7 shapes. We got B flat from the 6th fret on the low E string, B flat from the 1st fret on the 5th string, and then B flat from the 8th fret on the D string. Right on. All right, now let's cover our dominant 7 chord. So when you see a letter followed by just the number 7 and it doesn't have a minus sign or an MAJ, they're implying dominant. All right, so that's a major triad with the flat 7 on top, where a major 7 is a major triad with the normal 7. So for instance, in the key of C, we'll use that as our example. C, E, G is our major triad. A C major 7 chord would just be adding the diatonic note of B, so it would be C, E, G, B. But when we need a dominant 7 chord, just a C7 chord, we're going to want to flat that 7th degree, which in this case is B. So we make it a B flat, but keep that major triad underneath. So we have C, E, G, B flat. All right, so now let's find C on the low E string, which happens to be on the 8th fret here. And we'll play the dominant 7 shape. Now I like to teach this chord by saying play your normal major bar chord when your root note's on the 6th string and take away your pinky. Okay, so now it creates that flat 7. It goes from the root note, so you take away that pinky, now you have a B flat in there. It's a nice bluesy chord. Another way to play it is by only playing the, the root, the 3rd, and the flat 7. That has a cool sound to it. Once again, I like doing this when I'm finger picking. All right, but let's look at that full version of it here. So I'm barring all the way across the 8th fret because we're in C. I have my 3rd finger on the 10th fret A string. Then I have the 8th fret on the D string. Then I put my 2nd finger down on the 9th fret G string. And then the bar takes care of 8 on the B and 8 on the high E. So you can look at it from the major shape, taking away the pinky, or you can look at it just as this 3-finger shape right here. So that's C7 when your root note is on the low E string. All right, now let's find C on the A and look at that shape. A, A sharp, B, C. So 3rd fret A string, and our dominant 7 shape looks a little something like this. Okay, we're going to bar across the 3rd fret here, and we're going to put our 3rd finger on the 5th fret D string. The bar takes care of the 3rd fret on the G, and then our 4th finger, our pinky, comes down on the 5th fret B string. C7. All right, now let's look at C7 when your root note is on the D string, on the 4th string. So let's backtrack from D, D, D flat, C, right here. And it actually, this shape is like a major 7 shape when your root note's on the 5th string, but we're just shifting everything over. So I have my 1st finger, 10th fret here, this is C, on the D string here. Then my 3rd finger comes down 12th fret G, 2nd finger 11th fret B, and then 4th finger on the 12th fret high E. So that's a C7 chord where my root note is on the 4th string. So C7 here, from the 5th string, from there, and then from the low E here on the 8th fret. Right on. Now let's look at the minor 7 flat 5 chord. It's a very dissonant sounding chord, but it's a great transition chord when used in the right context. All right, let's do this one from, let's do it from A, okay? So A on the low E string is the 5th fret, and we're gonna play that with our 2nd finger. So 2nd fret on the 2nd finger on the 5th fret, low E. Then we're gonna skip the A string, 3rd finger, 5th fret D, 4th finger, 5th fret G, and then our 1st finger is gonna come down on the 4th fret B string. So 5, skip a string, 5, 5, 4. Minor 7 flat 5. When your root note is on the low E string. Now let's find A on the A string. Easy enough. We're not going to do it as the open A here. We're going to come up to the 12th fret. Okay, so 1st finger on the 12th fret A, minor 7 flat 5. It's like a major 7 shape, but you just squish it. So 1st finger 12th fret, then 3rd finger 13th fret D string, 2nd finger comes down 12th fret G, and 4th finger comes down 13th fret B. So it's 12, 13, 12, 13 in this case. A minor 7 flat 5, root note on the 5th string. All right, now let's find A on the D string, which, easy enough, is on the 7th fret. Okay, now this shape is really easy. You just have to bar with your 2nd finger on the G, B, and high E strings, in this case over the 8th fret. So our 1st finger is on the 7th fret D, and then our 2nd finger bars the 8th fret on the G, B, and high E strings. And this is A minor 7 flat 5 chord. So let's review those 3 different versions of it. We have A minor 7 from A minor 7 flat 5 from the low E string, A minor 7 flat 5 from the 5th string, and A minor 7 flat 5 from the 4th string. Nice. All right, so now let's do a quick review. Major 7, minor 7, dominant 7, minor 7 flat 5 from G on the low E string. Okay, here we go. Major 7. All right, now let's do a minor 7. Or minor 7. Dominant 7, G7 from the low E. And last but not least, minor 7 flat 5 from the low E string, from the 3rd fret. Okay, now let's look at the 5th string. Let's do them all from E. So E major 7, or E minor 7 with the bar, We have E7 and E minor 7 flat 5. All right, now let's look at the 4 string, our 4 shapes here. Let's do it from F. So 3rd fret on the D string. We have our major 7 first here. We have our minor 7. Our dominant 7. And our minor 7 flat 5. All right, so once you get those down, we'll start talking about inversions, where you can take different notes within the chord and put them in the bass and create different tensions amongst the notes because they spread out or get closer together depending on the inversion that you choose, meaning you put the 3rd in the bass, the 5th in the bass, or the 7th in the bass. So I'll just tell you right now, all the chords that we've mostly covered have been root position chords, meaning the root note of the chord is the lowest note, is the bass note. If we were to do a first inversion chord, that means the 3rd of the chord is put in the bass. So on a C major chord, C, E, G, C being the 1, E being the 3, G being the 5, we'd put E in the bass. If we wanted to do a second inversion chord, we would put the 5th in the bass. So using our C major as an example, we'd put G in the bass, and we just have G, E, and C. And then finally, a third inversion is when you put the 7th in the bass. So if we were doing a C major chord, C, E, G, B, we'd put the B in the bass. You just take the notes and you mix them in all different ways. We call it inversions based on whatever note is in the bass note, but you can get really creative and, you know, like I said, spread them apart or get them close together and create different tensions depending on the context of the song you're using. So I hope that helps, and we'll talk more about that in the future.